about 1.9 million years ago, we started cooking food. And that cooking food let us become more advanced, more evolved. Bigger, stronger, the most intelligent beings on the planet. Unique. Enough to take pictures of our food, put it on Instagram, share them around the world. Look at what I ate. Join us. So I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick, folks.
We're old friends dissecting one topic at a time. People, technology, media, we've got it all covered.
Each discussion here is a deep dive into our unique perspective. The taboo, forbidden subjects, they're all on the chopping block, baby. We don't pander to popular opinion. We might even get a little bit dirty.
Warning, this podcast may contain mature language and sexual content, and is for infotainment purposes only.
So join us. Have a good time.
Oh my God. Open up your ear holes, because we're going to fondle your follicles. All right. We're talking about cooking food tonight. The process, I guess, and the fancy, the basic part of cooking food. And the passion.
Flipping them burgers, folks. That's a dad move right there. Everyone here home familiar? Flipping burgers.
Is that what you had tonight?
It's also a minimum. No, I offered to make some burgers. I do turkey burgers actually now, frozen.
Oh, you mentioned this before. Specialty.
I season the hell out of them. A little olive oil, splash them up. You got to put some stuff on there, let them sit, cook them a certain way, but they're still frozen.
Why the turkey burgers? Do you think they're healthier?
Yeah, they're a little healthier, and technically, I don't think they taste any better or worse. Probably because I season them.
So you'd be wasting. Is that even cheaper?
I think they're the same price from the company. We started going Butterball or Butterbean or someone Butter's in the name. I think they're the same price.
Just go to either of those websites and 10% off on Pander's code.
Put in our coupon code. Coupon code FUCK. Whoa. We are rated PG-13, so we're allowed one of them. Is that how a movie works? You can have one F-bomb.
And holy shit. Oh my God. Let's talk about food though.
Let's focus on food because that's what this episode's about.
Cooking food. So we're unique in that we're the only animals that actually cook food. What I researched was that there are animals that manipulate food. They'll put it in the ground, it'll ferment, and then they'll eat it. Kind of cooking, not really. Doesn't involve fire. There are other animals that will take like potatoes. I think these were monkeys, and they'll put it in. I don't know that they combine foods.
Microwave?
Yeah, we left a wild microwave out in the open. It's plugged in.
Monkey.
Yeah. Dude. They put it in salt water to make it a little salty, a little flavorful. So interesting stuff like that. And they do prefer to eat cooked foods in certain cases. Like they said that stir fry and like carrots, like cooked carrots, they prefer them. And there are evolutionary advantages to being able to cook your own food. It actually
cooking off bacteria and stuff, right?
Cooks off bacteria.
Cooking off a lot of sickness.
Yeah. It also denatures the food. Makes it
so it's already more broken down. Less work for your body to break it down.
Easier to digest. Yeah, and they said that so like we as evolutionary apes, we're the highest chain of apes. We're
creationists if we were created in likeness of God, but anyway.
An omnivore god, yes.
An omnivore god.
So the comparison in that one story was that we are not carnivores because carnivores have a shorter digestive gut. And they also have a highly acidic, highly acidic stomach compared to us. So that if they eat something raw and it is kind of rotten, they're going to poop it out more quickly and they'll be able to fend off the bacteria that are inside. So we are not similar to carnivores, as if we ate something raw, it would stay in our bodies longer and we wouldn't be able to defend against the bacteria that's inside there.
So how common, I didn't look this one up, but population of animals on the earth that are omnivore, population that are carnivore, population that are herbivore. I'm just curious. Is there a way to find that out?
I don't think so.
Because omnivore sounds like the coolest one. It's like best of both worlds. You can go either way. We can flip flop. We can, we can date your daughter.
So
we can go both ways.
Yeah,
okay, pal?
Your mom.
I love meat. Yeah. Oh no, vegetarian. Yeah, I love veggies too. That's what I was saying.
So I don't know that it'll be an accurate number because I
was just curious. Yeah, but go ahead.
You can't. So I don't know that carnivore meat tastes good, so we don't raise them for that. Also, since you're trying to feed an animal another animal, it's more costly. And what was the third thing?
No, I see what you're saying. You're talking about for farming.
Yeah. Plus, they're more
farming meat,
more prone to having diseases. Like the chance of disease is higher than a cow because a cow just.
No, you're talking. I just meant in general, in the natural, the way the world works naturally. Are there way more herbivores than anything else? And then there's a whole bunch of carnivores, and then even fewer than that is like omnivores. It's like there's some that do both, but it's a very low number.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant. Sorry, not of the animals we eat. What are they? Dan likes to go on. He's going to get really deep in the philosophical and societal reasons we spice our foods later in this episode. Yeah. I know he will. It's like his favorite thing.
I don't. I wish I could have this number more quickly. I don't know how.
We'll later.
Yeah. Oh, bullshit.
I feel like most creatures are herbivore. Most.
I feel like most are too because.
Yeah, and then you got some carnivores. Not a lot. Maybe like 10%, 20%. I don't know.
You would think evolutionarily you would have more omnivores, right? Stuff that can eat meat.
Right, because then you'd be able to survive on both.
Yeah,
but I think that means a really complex digestive tract, access to both,
gestation, longer time growing up.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It's a wild world.
We'll have to do an episode on food and how animals and creatures get to it someday.
Yeah.
But while we're talking about food for animals and stuff, you touched on it. We raise animals and stuff for food.
Yeah.
We've literally conquered nature.
I mean, that's kind of what human beings do, right? They manipulate, they terraform, they control almost everything. They even try to control each other.
There's no natural anything about what we eat, kind of, at this point, is there? I mean, you could say it's grown naturally, it's whatever, but it's all the jobs are outsourced. You don't know the person who raises the chicken. You don't know the person who butchered it. You probably don't know the person who packaged it. You probably don't know the person that drove it to your damn grocery store, right?
I always thought it was weird if you go to a restaurant and you tip the waiter for a good meal. Why, like, it doesn't get split with the chef? It probably doesn't in most places, but you should be tipping the chef.
Does it get split with the source behind that?
Yeah. Does the man
like, listen, we got $8 on this table the other night. We gotta kick 2 back to the supplier.
Go back to the source. I don't know. Tipping in general is kind of a weird thing for what you tip for. Same thing with like bartenders, like the ones that open a beer. Do you tip for bartenders that open a beer for you?
Yeah.
Because you want a more filling beer next time? Like what is the relationship? You approve of the bartender opening that?
Yeah, I approve of them finding me, taking my order, opening 4 beers, and usually if it's a real busy bar, and it took him a long time, and he does the 1, 2, 3, 4, and he drops it at me, I'll give him $2.
Big spender here.
Do you know what I do if someone face to faces me and has to pour me a beer or something? It's $1 a beer at that point.
You like the nod and the quick release of all the caps, and then you gather up your beers and you go. Is that what you're talking about?
You just no, because I spend more on the guy who's face to face with me.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that's the lowest I'll tip. Or like if a dude's a real jack off, I'll give him like nothing or $1 or something, but that's it. You not tip those people?
I generally don't.
Like in super crowded, right? It's super, super crowded. He comes back with your thing. It took him like 8 minutes to get there, but it's super crowded. He gives it 4 beers. He pops them all, doesn't even really look at you, takes your money, brings it back, and gives you the change. And you're like this. Not gonna tip.
He's not really.
You take all 4.
He's not really a chef of liquids, is he?
No, but what's a bartender rate? Like $4 an hour or something?
If he's giving me a mixed drink that takes knowledge and a little bit of skill to make, if it's something a little... So if someone's mixing a drink versus pouring a beer, you pay them the same amount? You tip them the same amount for doing that?
No, I'd probably tip them $2 on my drink.
Is that more or less? I can't tell. You seem to move... You're bobbling around here.
Okay, here. No. This is very obvious, and I've given my example. Someone gives me 4 beers, real quick, boom, boom, boom. I don't really see them. I give them $2 tip for the whole job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm face to face. Someone gives me 2 beers, 4 beers, whatever. They have to get their drinks. They bring them all to me.
They acknowledge you as a human.
Sure, and it's not too crowded here. Or they look at me and say, "Oh, there you go. Here's this. This is the Miller Lite. This is the Bud." I say, "Thank you." Usually, I'll give her if it's 4 beers, like $3 or $4, like about $1 a beer. And then if it's just me and the honey and we're sitting there and we're just shooting the shit at a bar and we have one bartender who keeps coming over and he's like, yo, you guys doing good? You guys need a couple more drinks? What do you want to do? You want to try something new? We got this on tap. And I'm like, yo, let me try the new one. He's like, yeah, that's no problem. He's getting like $1.50 to $2 per beer. That's how I roll. So what you said about making a good mixed drink or something, I think that's worth $2 to me.
Have you ever seen a chef cook your meal for you? As a chef,
worked in a restaurant.
Like hibachi.
So I didn't see him cook my meals.
Have you gone to hibachi?
Yeah, hibachi. Yeah,
how much?
Yeah.
So like hibachi is a weird thing because they are entertaining you and feeding you, and they are technically your waiter too because they kind of shovel it on your plate.
There's an old Mitch Hedberg joke.
Oh yeah.
What happens when you get hibachi to go? It's like you come to the drive-through. Hey man, did he flip the thing and light the fire and all that shit? Yeah, he better have.
Shovel that in your car. He tries to hit you with a little piece of rice. You just get it all over your car. Giant hole.
What's crazy is that people catch that shit. Is that a phenomenon you've come across?
I feel like it hits me in the eye or like bottom lip, and it's never gonna... I have caught it one time, and I've hibachied, I will tell you.
Okay.
And I always feel like a degenerate when I can't... Like, I'm disgraced.
Because then they want to do it again. They're like, no, we fix it. And you're like, oh, no, it's going to go bad again.
And they always have like a little bit of broken English, so you can't prearrange. Like, just like, I want 3 tries. I want it best out of 3. See how many I can get. They just do their thing. So I tip more for that type of thing because there's entertainment, waiter.
Okay.
Plus, there's no situations where you actually can get to the chef and say, thank you. Because, like, a steakhouse, like, when they make the steak, like, perfectly.
You can literally, I've seen people drop 5 of those off and be like, can you give us to the chef that made blah, 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 blah. I'd be like, yeah, sure, you're weird. So it is weird, but it's like, you can do it. It happens more in Asian-themed restaurants. Like, my aunt and uncle would always go to sushi to the same place, and it's like a local place. It's not a chain. And, like, they always knew who was cooking.
Are they on the countertop? I've seen it so, like, they have, like, the display and then the guy making the sushi
right.
can pull it out and just,
they
like,
couldn't
do it.
see him, but they would always request to have him come out and be like, hey, what's going on? That was awesome. We really love so-and-so. And, like, they would, I think, tip him personally.
Good people. Good people.
They also return more food than anyone else.
They're picky, but they know what they're like.
True. Mm-hmm. And they're willing to spend for it.
Yeah, that's good.
So they're picky. It is what it is.
So I'm gonna quick say the advantage of cooking food is once animals eat meat, they get bigger brains. It's linked that way. So an animal able to cook their food gets more nutrients, and they go smarter, bigger, stronger, faster. There's a song, but I don't have to say it.
I did 4 push-ups. 4 pull-ups, excuse me. Before this episode. I'm sure everyone noticed. That's 4 with an F, an O-U-R. So I would actually make a delicious meal. Oh, you see this shirt, Dan? You notice it?
Oh, it's something about an Irish saloon? Big.
Yeah, I don't actually care about the shirt. This is the point about it. So, about 4 months ago, I weighed 25 more pounds. 25.
Really?
I couldn't wear this shirt because it would stick to my whole body.
Oh, and then
my sides would stick out, and I was like, "You just look like a fatty wearing it."
When you get puffy nips and it like your shirt doesn't contour, it just has puffiness out the front.
Yeah,
that was always my problem.
Mine's a side. I look like a Aunt Jemima bottle. I get like bigger on the hips.
You need to print out just the face and then But in the past, when you get fat again, I'll send you a face of Aunt Jemima, and you can put it on the podcast.
Anyway, this is my first time wearing it since I bought it. So,
wow.
And someone has bought it for me, but So what I'm getting at is that food's awesome, but it can also make you fat. You're not watching what you're eating.
Yeah, I heard. So there's two methods of losing weight, right? It's exercising till you lose weight, or it's in the kitchen. It's weight's lost in the kitchen.
6-packs are made in the kitchen.
Yeah, but
because like 70% of it's just what you eat, I think.
Yeah, but the people who don't exercise at all and diet are more unhealthy than the people who don't diet and exercise.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
because you're working your heart and your muscles.
Mm-hmm. I guess you might as well just do both. That's the smart thing to do. But who plays that game really?
Who's got the time, folks?
Who's got the damn time?
Huh. I was just gonna say eating habits, because I didn't want to get into fitness and health and obesity too much, because we might save that for another episode.
Mm-hmm.
But if we did want to talk about eating habits in general, and a little bit of what we were talking about with how we raise our meat, how we have everything curated, everything done for us, everything finished and sent to our supermarkets. Because of capitalism, the bottom denominator usually ends up winning.
The cheapest thing?
The chicken you're getting is the cheapest one, right? The shipping company is the cheapest shipping company most of the time.
Or the most efficient. The company's
doing it for the most efficient. The most efficient.
As an engineer would say.
Yeah. So, would you say we still eat healthy, even though we cook our food and everything like that? And again, I guess we're bordering on the obesity thing.
And this is also touching on like food stamps, and like if you're poor, you're buying the processed prepackaged foods that are probably the most unhealthy for you and give you empty calories. Right. The nutrients you're looking for are actually in the more expensive, fresher foods. Literally, I looked up today that if you eat something that's fresher, it is more nutrient for you. That's why we have a predisposed inclination towards fresher foods.
Why is that? Is that because like all the stuff we use to make stuff preserve is just bad? The preservatives themselves?
Well, yeah, the preservatives aren't that great for you.
Preservatives in it.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with it's a similar thing with denaturing. Like cooking meat is different because it lowers the amount of time it needs to digest. But if you have a fruit that's sitting on the shelf, it is essentially rotting. So as it's rotting, it's losing part of its nutrients. Like the pieces that are good for you, they just kind of start to dissolve. So anything that's fresher is better for you.
Are you staring at my pimple?
I'm trying not to look. Looking away.
Green and red for a holiday. I know our recording and everything doesn't happen this way. People say if you eat greasy foods, you will get
or chocolate,
as we refer to it as, or chocolate. That's weird. I hate chocolate. I never eat chocolate. I'm not a chocolate fan. Are you a chocolate fan?
Oh, I am. Yeah, my whole family is heavy into it.
I could care less. Like someone's like, "Hey, the Hershey bar." I'm like, I don't care. Give me something like chips or something. I like salty foods.
So there's an interesting bit about chocolate. So there's foods that last a long time. So the preservatives we add to our junk food make them last longer. He's facing away from his pimple.
I am facing the other way.
What foods last the longest?
Honey.
Honey is right. And why is that?
Botulism.
Yeah, botulism defends the honey for all it's worth.
I don't know why. Is that something to do with the structure or something?
It contains a little bit of hydrogen peroxide, as well as it's highly sugary. Sugar acts like salt in preservation as well. So the honey kind of defends itself.
It's too thick and viscous for anything to get in there and undermine it.
Yeah, it's also, once it's processed, the things that bring in moisture are no longer there. So once you process honey, it actually stays viable. Someone found 3,000-year-old honey inside of a tomb that was properly processed and edible.
That's nuts.
I wish we had video of them eating it. I mean, they should have.
I don't know. Would you do it?
So, I think this episode started because I saw a guy open up a 1945, I guess you call it a survival kit. Like if you were on a crashed plane and it had a boat on it, the boat would come with this meal kit. And the meal kit had something called tropical chocolate in it. It was something that Hershey's made specifically for tropical climates so that it wouldn't melt. And he opened up the whole kit, which had, I think, malted milk, which also lasts a very long time. The tropical chocolate.
Terrible health-wise, but...
And then there was a mixture of, like, nuts with fattiness. Oh, dang it, I don't know what the name is. It's like somewhat with a P. I'm going to have to come back to that one. But he opened up all of those things, and there were crackers. There's some sort of, like, extra dry cracker. So he opened this kit, which was at least, it was, like, heavier than a saltine.
1945-ish?
Yeah, 1945-ish. And he's like, oh, this is the most pristine kit I've ever found in my life. And he's like just talking it up. He's saying how much they are. It was like literally like a little like stick of gum size thing of this food. It was like $80. He's like, this is $80. This is $80 right here. And then he started eating it. So like he ate the chocolate that was 80 years old.
Yeah.
And he's like, this tastes pretty good. So imagine, having food that has been around that long and still have it taste enjoyable.
It's pretty cool.
They kind of do a similar thing with the space station.
Enjoyable though, but I understand what you're saying.
Well, something that's palatable. If you could swallow it.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
If you could swallow it without feeling sick.
You start to. They do a similar thing for like space station food. So like they'll package it in the layer of like mylar, which is like a protective film, and then they'll inject nitrogen. So they'll take away all the oxygen because oxygen is something that causes bacteria to grow. They'll purge it. That's the nitrogen. And then they'll seal it, and then they'll cook it like an autoclave, which kills most things. And they'll also irradiate it. Make sure that it has nothing growing in it.
Didn't you talk about apples being irradiated at some point?
Mm-hmm. They'll stick them in a warehouse and let radiation hit them over a period of time so that they kill all the fast-growing organisms on them.
That's weird.
Yep. It is weird. It's strange. But the one thing that is not good, eating other people. So, as it was just a complete tangents. We're just keep going on tangents here. We're gonna get back to cooking in a minute. But if you're gonna eat something like monkey brains or human brains or mad cows, they have things called prions in them. Prions? I don't know how to say them. Prions?
Yeah, I played Plague Inc.
Yeah. Prion is not a living organism and does not get killed in an autoclave. So if you...
What is it?
It's like a... imagine...
Virus?
No, it's not a virus either. It's like... Imagine you have like a bunch of... Like all of your brain is made up of a bunch of locks, like physical locks. A prion is like a bunch of keys. So like if you throw a prion into the brain of locks, does that make sense?
No. You're gonna have to start over. Is this an organism or a thing, or does...
It's like a key. It has nothing to do with being alive. It just unlocks your proteins and then keeps unlocking them. And as it unlocks more, it's like Alzheimer's. You start to forget things and things start to break down.
What is it?
It is like a protein. It's a protein that fits into other proteins and unlocks them.
Okay, so it's a protein. So is it like a complex protein that happens naturally, or is man-made, or what is it?
I don't know this shit.
I
don't know how it happens. Who knows how we... Who are we? Where do we come from? The universe?
Good point.
Shall we begin from the beginning?
We have to go all the way back to this episode on food. Cooked food, specifically.
All right, so seriously. So do you have a passion for cooking food?
Not at all. My father does.
Oh.
And his mother does. And my aunt does. The Italian side.
Okay, so you lost the passion. I actually do have a passion for cooking food. When I was younger, there was a chef called Yan, and the show was called Yan Can Cook.
Yan Can Cook?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I like that Asian guy. He was very concentrated and calm and pleasant. So I took after him, and my parents they called me Dan Can Cook. Yeah.
Oh my God. Awesome.
So I would try all these little recipes and stuff, but I was never very good at it because I was a kid at the time. That was like when I was like preteen.
You were like 19, right?
Yeah. Prepubescent 19-year-old.
Try again, Daniel. Dan can cook.
Yeah. So all through like my entire life, I've always enjoyed cooking in a certain facet. I don't know that I've ever do it like professionally, but I guess this show is about chefs and cooking. So at one time I thought I'd become a chef, but I don't think they make peanuts unless you're famous.
Right. So let me get into this real quick. What do you make? Like, do you make stuff at home? Because I'm really asking you on the podcast. I have no idea.
Well, like the man part of me cooks steaks, grill stuff. Mm-hmm. I also make like chicken parm. I like making different sort of desserts, like fudge. Things that are kind of like, there's a technicality to it, maybe. There's an understanding of like the ratios of stuff, which is mathematical, and then like the timing of stuff, and then syncing up a meal is the like planning and I guess timing. Management of it.
Timing and temperatures and project management.
Yeah, essentially.
Weird you say it like that, but
that's exactly what it is, right? Because if you're going to have like a delicious meal where everything is the right temperature and tastes right, you have to pre-plan things from
the right time.
Yeah, T minus whatever minutes for the rice. You got to plan it out.
You got a tickle in your throat?
Yeah, a little bit. Tickle. I need to pour this beverage.
Go ahead.
Go.
So, I've never eaten one of your meals. I feel like Dan is, for the record, I'm Nick from the UnP.
A closet chef. You saying I'm a closet chef?
No, I'm gonna insult your chefhood. I'm gonna say Dan makes pretty good meals, like, but if he devoted more time to the craft and did it more, he'd be even better. But he doesn't, because it doesn't produce enough money for him.
I'm a value-oriented guy, is what you're saying.
What I said. But my guess is that you make some stuff that ends up being pretty good. And sometimes you hit a home run, and sometimes you're like, that was okay. Oh. Most of the time it's pretty good, though. Is that true?
Mesquite beef stew, delicious.
Was it?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Now, let's say how do you figure out what you want to make? Like, where do your brain just makes it up? You see it on the Chew in the morning, or you Google best beef stew recipe, or what do you do?
I guess you kind of have to. You probably most of the time I'm influenced by something. Like I see somebody eat something.
You're just like drawing on a piece of paper and be like, we need to make beef stew tonight. My lord.
Yeah, in the middle of a sentence.
Stock.
I'm typing on an old typewriter, and I'm just like typing beef stew, and I'm like, that's genius. Doesn't make a sense.
Just the ingredients that are coming up, and you're like, I'm not even typing this. This is incredible. So what do you do? Like, what's going on? Like, it's like a Wednesday at work, and you see a picture of a new kind of stew, and you're like, click. Yeah, let's do it tonight. Is that how you do? I don't know.
I think the human body has these cravings that actually match what they need, like the balance of electrolytes, salts, and all sorts of stuff. I think there's probably more things that are innate to the human body about what we really need. And maybe when you're craving like a beef stew, it's because it has like salt to it or electrolyte or like
meat. And some heat, protein. Some warmth, something to stick to the bones.
Temperature, what season it is outside, how you're feeling. I think that's kind of what dictates what you really crave. If you walk through a grocery store, you're going to pick out, if you're hungry, you're going to pick out all the stuff that immediately fills that hunger. That's kind of how I do it.
I disagree. But then what do you do? Do you follow a recipe verbatim? Or are you like, I found a good one, I think? How do you know which one to pick? There's like 40 recipes for everything you Google.
I don't know. There's like elements to it. So like if you understand the basic elements, you can throw them together. And then like if you're using like a starch, there's like multiple starches. So you can cycle through the things that are in the same category. So like meats, starches, vegetables, all that stuff.
I was feeling particularly spicy last week.
Oh, yeah.
Was. I Googled a whole bunch of different recipes. I wanted something spicy. What I came across was like a soup or a stew almost. You could make something between a soup and a stew. It was called spicy chickpea tomato soup. And I thought,
chickpeas taste
it's sort of healthy.
Yeah.
What?
Chickpeas, not my favorite.
Oh, really? I like chickpeas. Anyway, like hummus, I like chickpeas. I'm down with it. In my head, it sounded really, really good. Spicy tomato. It had a little girth to it, but it was like there was no meat, so I didn't need to add a meat. My girlfriend is often trying to cut calories. She's trying to do this. So I was like, she'll like it. She'll like it. Everyone will like it. It has some spice. I'll like it. Stick to the bones. It's getting cold here lately. I didn't have all the ingredients. So since I was looking at 3 different recipes at once, they made them with different stocks and they made them with different ingredients and they made them different spices. So I kind of bought what I thought encompassed most of it, except that when I got home, the ingredients I had were not all for one. So I had to make my own judgment. And I mean, I'm not afraid of that. I'm the man. Well, the problem was I was messing with the base ingredients. I was like changing the ratio.
The stock, the broth.
Yeah, I was really messing with stuff. I was like, I got 2 made tomatoes. Let's go with it. You know, I was winging it. It said you should either crush your chickpeas before you put them in or put them in as whole. It's up to you. I crushed 1 can, and then I didn't crush the other because I thought that would be a nice meal.
Yeah, nice.
Anyway, I also I was supposed to use cumin, ground cumin. Yes. Anyway, that was the ingredient. I didn't have it, so I substituted it with something similar. I thought turmeric. Turmeric. I don't know.
Turmeric.
Anyway. Yeah, turmeric. Sure. So anyway, I started really substituting and messing around, and I could tell as I was making it, this wasn't going to be the best. Everyone that came home and looked at it said, "I'm not eating that." And I said, "It's fine. I've tried it twice, and it was okay." Like if you were in prison,
you built up your own bias.
Well, but keep this in mind. If I was in prison and someone gave this to me, I'd be like, "That's actually pretty good. Like, this is the best prison meal I've had today, sir."
Yeah. Toilet wine.
Home, and she was like, "I thought we were having like pork chops or something." I'd be like, "It's not. Try this." No one in my house would even touch it. I had a bowl and a half. It was decent. Like, I won't say it was good. I won't say it was bad. It was somewhere in between. It was like, this is okay. Like,
So this is bordering on like the worst meals I've had at other people's places. And like when other people's moms can't cook, you have to eat it anyway. And
you have to nibble. You have to nibble.
Yeah.
You have to eat the whole thing. Dude.
Yeah. You just eat maybe a quarter. The worst meal I ever had, which is Thanksgiving last Tuesday, I'm not going to say where it was. Hopefully they do watch the podcast and understand that I was annoyed and it was terrible.
Sandwich? Was it sandwiches?
No, it was a French toast at like 2:00 on a Thanksgiving.
Are you sure? Did we talk about this during Destiny?
We probably did. I'm just going to throw it out there. Mushy French toast at 2:00 that was supposed to be brunch. Not acceptable.
Ouch.
Didn't eat it. Spent the meal mostly angry, frustrated, annoyed that I didn't know it was French toast. I could have saved this meal. I'm a chef, damn it. Let me take control.
See, what's going on here is weird.
You never saw the side of me.
No, just I have, but not for that particular meal. But meals are so important to us that we care about one meal. How many meals could you go in a row before you died? I know you've done the math.
Meals in a row? It was like if you ate them back to back?
No. How many meals could you go without eating until you died?
Well, they say you can...
7 days? 10 days?
I thought it was 2 weeks. So that's like, what? 14 times 3, which is like 40 meals, 45 meals. You can go a long time.
So you, having one meal ruined, have your 1 out of 42 to death ratio, ruined your day, and you're still talking about it.
Your meal to death ratio. Yeah, you've seen people freak out over meals that they thought were like, there's a hair in this. Like, It's your own hair,
think
lady.
About it. You could skip 42 in a row and be alive. You're freaking out about one. I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm talking about the human person.
But you can only go like 3 days without water, but very rarely do people say like freak out over like disgusting tasting water. They just don't drink it.
There was something in my water.
Yeah, they're so nice about it.
Lady, it's called water. Okay?
There's something frosty around the edge. It's frost, lady.
It's called East.
A piece of ice.
It's East.
It's East. East? Is it East? It's special.
Let me real quick finish my story. So no one ate the soup that night except me. I had 2 bowls. I felt sick. I boxed it up in a Tupperware.
Oh, yeah?
And I said, you guys lose. And they said to me, go ahead, bring it to work, see if everyone eats it. So I brought it to work, and everyone looked at it, and they were like, is that diarrhea? And some people were like, is that vomit? And I was like, no, it's something I made. I explained the whole story. And they were like, I don't want it. And someone was like, I just don't want to try it. Someone was
You're offering your food to your coworkers? Okay, trying to hawk it on them?
So, hold on. So, I said, we have to make some of it disappear before I bring it back or, throw it out or something. I had 2 full 8-ounce coffee cups because that's how I drank them. I ate them out of a coffee cup, heated them up in the microwave, and I kept trying to push them on people, and everyone was like, no, I know what this is. It's over. Nick, it's over. So I ended up having like 6 to 8 cups of my own soup, and no one else had it. To even tell me it was bad, no one was like, it wasn't that good. No one.
They didn't taste it? They tasted it all?
No one. Not one other person had this.
No, that's a sacrilege. I mean, you got to be able to taste somebody else's stuff and just be like, that doesn't work.
Really, I don't even think anyone would have said bad. They were just like, that's not good. Like, why would I eat it?
Yeah,
like,
referencing a previous episode, if you can smell that it's bad, it probably does taste bad.
Well, this did not smell bad, I don't think. It looked bad,
I don't think.
Kind of like diarrhea throw up. Or whatever.
A little asterisk on the end there. I don't think. The worst meal I ever made was probably chicken cooked too slowly, and it was like in a marinade, so it was like watery. It's like rubbery. I never did that again, but that was when I was little. Oh, aside from there was a roast beef I made that was in an oven that didn't work right, so it was like undercooked and like the same thing. It was like rubbery and weirdly textured. It's like when it's weirdly textured, it's not cooked.
Odd. You did make a batch of brownies one time that made me feel sick as could be.
Those brownies were ridiculous. Oh my lord! I was
driving a Mario Kart controller into the wall for like 10 straight minutes. Where someone told me that I had to go left.
Oh.
Thank you.
So let's talk about what you can't cook with in the United States. So one of the things that is absolutely disgusting, and we're gonna go along with what your soup or whatever it was is maybe like. I don't know. I didn't taste it, so I can't really comment.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
Wasn't very good. It wasn't very good.
Cashew marzu, which is a creamy cheese. It is creamy because it's actually, I guess you would call it impregnated with fly larvae. And you have to eat it as the maggots are still alive to make it that creamy. Not allowed in the U.S.
I would eat it.
I would try it. Probably not the maggot itself, but the cheese around the maggot. I can't say maggot. I mean, actually, brie is like really liquidy and cheese. Like,
I don't like brie.
It doesn't suit me very well. Horse meat, you can't have horse meat in the U.S. Other countries, sure, why not? Let's eat all those damn horses.
Really?
Yeah, it's illegal to slaughter horses.
Well, is it illegal to slaughter them, or?
It is illegal to slaughter them in the U.S.
So what if a horse died? Could you eat it?
Sure, why not? It probably tastes pretty damn good. I've watched a lot of cooking shows. I think Anthony Bourdain had horse meat at a street, like a street vendor, and he was loving it. Like, it was delicious.
Really?
Yeah.
If it's prepped the right way, I mean, think about it.
Yeah, you probably can't tell it different from very, like, other meats. Shark fins? That's terrible. Don't even do it.
Shark fins are a food?
Yeah, I mean they do it because they think it's going to be like make them virile. It's all those
but
like.
No.
You didn't like. There's
Shark
this
has
isn't.
No fat. I mean, it's like.
It makes no. It's cartilage, right? I think it's essentially cartilage. So like these people are using like rhino horns and shark fins to stay horny. You're just getting old, Chinese dudes. So there's no way it's going to work for you. Don't worry. We have a drug for it. It's called Viagra. You're probably better off trying that one. Shark fins.
No, you can get
horns.
boner pills in 7-Eleven. I recommend them. Called Up All Night or Easy Big or like Dong Potion or like whatever they're called.
Dong Potion. We should have a drink called Dong Potion right next to the Red Bull.
You know what we should do? We should buy all these boner pills from 7-Eleven or whatever and just see what happens to us over an episode. Because me and someone named Ryan, his younger brother, snorted a line of the pill.
Is the mechanism the same when you snort it? It probably isn't.
I don't... Listen, it's probably like a sugar pill anyway. It costs like $3. You buy it from 7-Eleven. It's not real.
I feel like researching snorting sugar, but I'm sure that'll come up in a future episode.
I snorted salt in high school for money.
For how much money?
$5.
Are you an idiot?
Do you know what I did afterwards? Because it really hurt. I snorted water, and it worked.
It's like, I guess that's a smart thing to do. Then
I was like, oh! And then I snorted a cup of water, and it neutralized everything, and I was fine. For a minute, I forgot I did that. That's so weird.
It brings it back. Our discussions, our little discussions.
Cafeteria.
So another thing that I think Anthony Bourdain actually he brought to my attention is that you can't eat lungs. There are certain elements of an animal that you can't eat because they're bacteria laden, possibly. It's like cleaning lungs is very difficult because they have little alveoli,
a lot of little
pockets,
little areas.
Yeah, very difficult to cook. I guess you could boil them, but I don't know that all the people would do that. It tastes
very good.
Yeah, so like things like haggis, which is like a Scottish treat. You can't have that.
Intestines?
It's all a lot of parts of the animal. It's almost like scrapple if you're from Pennsylvania. You know what scrapple is?
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
I have scrapple once a month.
It's what's ever on the bottom of the butcher floor. I think they throw it in a bin and call it scrapple.
It's not true. It's pig butthole.
The most delicious part that no one knows about. So let's talk about like practicality. So there's a lot of like parts of the animal that I guess like the working class would eat that have now become very prominent foods. Like have you seen like hot dog stands that are like glorified? So like I guess you call like yuppie, dude. Gentrified.
Like, oh yeah.
It's like the preeminent hot dog of Baltimore, which I did not eat, but I saw the line and I was like, wow, they're paying $5 for a hot dog. Seems
try $9 at this point.
Oh, it's going up. It's a weird thing because there's certain foods that people eat because they're cheap, and there's other foods that are like impressed upon them to eat, and they'll pay a lot of money to eat them.
Oh, then we get into cultural boundaries.
That too.
Who eats what because it's natural, and who eats what because it's natural in their country. Like if you have people from China come over here, or we switch places, and we're like, "What do you guys eat?" And they were like, "What do you guys eat?" We'd be like, "Wow, that's wild." But it's a cultural thing, right? I mean, it's what they're used to eating. It's what's common to eat. I'd be like, I would never eat that part of that animal. Whereas over here, I'm like, back up that pig butthole. Let's fry it up. I want some scrapple. I'm good. Whereas I'm like, they're eating pig brain or something, or cow brain. They're eating the haunches of a what?
It's like that scene from Indiana Jones where they all sit around a table. There's a hole in the middle of the table, and they raise the monkey into the middle of the table.
Brain, right?
Yeah, and they just whack the monkey and start scooping out his brains. It's like That is a delicacy in certain areas of the world, but it's very strange because it could have some very negative side effects.
But is that... I don't think that's why we dislike it. I think we dislike it because no one else here eats it.
It's the same thing with horses, and dogs. There are other countries that eat those things.
Yeah.
Just because we have a sentiment towards them, we avoid them.
Right. Did you see War Horse? Great movie. Did you?
I did. The horse comes back to him covered in...
Yeah, and the boy's blind,
Yeah.
and he can feel the horse, and it comes back to him. Such a good movie. Disney or something? I
think it was. And it was like a Matt Damon lookalike, almost? Was that the...
Could be. Sounds about right. So here, to bring us back to food in a little bit. I don't know if I told this on the podcast, but when I went to college...
Oh, college food.
We had a bereft fridge.
Mm-hmm.
It was always empty. I hardly had anything good in it.
No,
someone would buy meat and be like, wow, that's incredible.
That's
someone bought steak or something? That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So one night, my buddy Tom, we'll call him, I'm not going to name names, got done crew, and he was done for like a 2-week period. So it doesn't mean he don't have to wake up at 5 a.m. and row. So to celebrate, we did shots, and we did what's called Becoming a Man. We mixed vodka with A1. I'm not sure why.
Ooh.
We just did stuff.
Okay.
And
A1 is delicious.
Yeah. So vodka's not. Anyway, we got really drunk, and we came back to the house. We went out to the bar. Who knows? And we opened the fridge, and our other roommate, Ben, was dating a friend of ours named Alicia. And I was like, oh, Alicia, she can actually cook. Hey, what's going on? So we looked. She had a Tupperware. Oh, shit. I think she made Ben ribs. So we opened the container and had like 9 ribs. They were still in the barbecue sauce. I was like, let's go. So me and Tom took the ribs, which we shouldn't have, but like, whatever. Like, if there's leftovers, we're going to have them, folks. We brought them up to our room. We started eating these ribs. Oh, my God. They were so good. He's eating at his desk. I'm eating at my desk. We're in the same room. We're going nuts. Like, I'm going to town. We both had like 3 or 4 ribs, and we made like animal sounds. We were eating them. I felt like I really enjoyed food for the first time in my life. And I was drunk. Don't get me wrong. Anyway, we there's like 2 left. We left them in there, put them back in the fridge. It was over. The next morning, Alicia was like, hey, did you assholes grab my ribs and cook them up and eat them? And we were like,
cook them?
We were like, I don't know. Did you guys leave ribs in there? And she's like, yeah. Did you make the whole thing and just leave 2 uncooked? And we were like, no, why? She was like, well, did you cook them? And I was like, no, they were delicious. And she was like, they were just raw, sitting in barbecue sauce.
You couldn't tell.
Today. We had no idea. So it turns out we both had like 4 or 5 or 6 raw ribs, pork ribs, and just, it was weird. This animal instinct took over me when I was eating them.
So did you?
So good.
Did you get sick at all from that?
No, not even a little bit.
Do you think
they were delicious?
Do you think the alcohol might have sanitized the meat that you're eating? Maybe that's a new thing.
Keep this in mind too. Do you think 100% of people who eat raw meat get sick?
Obviously not. I mean, you can have.
Obviously,
they always say like steak tartare. Or you can have like a sushi or very thinly sliced steak. It's like that rawness.
Like there's a chance you could get sick. I wouldn't mess with the chance. But if you did it, then you're fine. You're fine.
How do you like your steak? Do you like your steak raw, rare? Sorry,
I go medium.
Yeah. So if you're eating your steak rare, it's pretty much uncooked in the middle, right? It's all bloody and pink. Right. So you're really the exteriors are cooked. Yeah, I think it is. I mean, in certain places you're not supposed to eat the rare steak because of that possibility. Like you don't have like a rare burger because the burger is a combination of like hundreds of cows. The chance that a cow has a disease out of that 100 is 100 times greater than a steak. So they don't say don't eat a burger rare.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear that. Interesting.
Yeah, your odds are not good. Huh. I'm curious about... Let me see. You didn't have any... So there was like a fascination with chefs back in like the 90s. Like Mario Batali or like Emeril Lagasse.
Yeah.
Bam! And
then, bam, bam!
Those guys were huge. You don't see that anymore. I'm trying to lean. I don't watch the Food Channel very much anymore, but I don't know if it even exists. Like Morimoto, Iron Chefs.
Yeah. If I were to give you a rise and fall, what's weird is my parents were, I don't want to call them the originators of the channel surfing, and they would end up on home fixer-uppers, like This Old House. You know what that is?
Yep.
Bob Vila, This Old House.
Oh, yeah, Bob Vila.
Up on a lot. And they ended up on a lot of cooking shows a lot because my dad was always kind of into recipes and all that. But what's weird is for a while that went away. Like I haven't seen a cooking show for like 10 years straight. And then they were like the thing in the year 2000, 2005, 2002, 2004. What you were touching on. Bam! Emeril Lagasse. Who's the dude? Bobby Flay?
Yeah. Bobby Flay.
And he had restaurants.
The singer from Smash Mouth.
Thing.
Whatever his name was. He just looks like the singer from Smash Mouth.
Oh, he does. Yeah.
Everyone should know who that guy is, who knows his name.
I do know his name. I forget it. But anyway, it has gone by the wayside now. It literally has. Now we do chef cook-off or celebrity chef or amateur chef or whatever. We try and have people compete to see who's the top
Guy
chef.
Fieri. That's it. Diners
Guy Fieri.
Drive-ins and dives.
Diners, dive-ins, and drives. He's the heart of a lot of memes.
Yeah.
Shout out, Guy.
Yeah. It's I like the food personalities because they're actually trying to create things. The one, what was her name? She's Italian or pretends to be Italian, and she always wears really low-cut shirts and has like porno music as she's like marinating or like salting meats. Oh, I said like, geez.
You better look this up. I have no idea what you're talking about now.
No, I'm gonna. Oh my lord!
I don't even know how you look that up. Good lord. A lot of XXX videos.
Food TV boobs. Let's see. Rachael Ray is on this list.
I've seen her. She's after the children.
Giada. That's her. She's the first one. Hottest woman of food TV. I forget her name. Giada de Laurentiis.
Oh, word. Sounds Italian-y.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's been supplanted. Mario Batali. I think is he Scottish? He's got reddish hair. I don't know if he's Italian.
He could be anything.
He could probably be Italian by his name, but he might be anything. He might have changed it. You get fat chefs, Emeril and Mario, replaced with
Emeril
sexiness.
Got that, by the way.
What do you mean got that?
No, got fat.
Got fat. Oh, he got old and fat. If you
watch him in his like original stuff, like he's very thin. Now he's like very fat.
Emeril. No.
Then there's guys like who's the mean guy who yells at the staff? They redo restaurants.
Oh yeah, you're talking about oh my goodness. Gordon.
He's Australian or something.
Is it Gordon?
What is it?
Gordon Ramsay?
Gordon Ramsay. It's Ramsay.
Yeah.
Anyway, he what the fuck is wrong with this steak? He did a restaurant where one of my good friends, customers, and they were like on camera. He was kind of a Jo and like flexed a lot, but off camera he was totally cool. He was like the nicest guy they ever met.
Yeah, I've seen the cuts where like you put there's like a British version and an American version of the same episode, and they cut it in such a way to make him sound like an asshole. But like in the British one, he's like trying to support this female chef who's having a hard time, and it's genuine and it's heartfelt. The American one, he's just like, fuck off. It's like, where did they get that sound clip? It's like, that wasn't in the British one.
I mean, he probably said both forms. It's just in different timing, different scenarios, and the editing is a lot of that. What we're getting at is that people love to watch people cook. People love to talk about people cooking.
Well, it's a widespread. Everyone eats. Everyone has an interest in it. And then...
I have to, right?
Yeah, to to watch someone else do it well, I guess you're kind of impressed because you can't put forth that your own effort yourself. You're just like, someone else is cooking my meals.
Check this. If your father is getting older, and he might be Jewish, he might be Italian, he might be Greek. I'm naming these because I know a lot of these older people in these nationalities tend to be like, "Hi, do you know what I have for lunch? A brisket that costs $4.99."
Value.
And you're like,
early birds.
You're like, I don't. Why are you telling me this? But what's funny is as you get older, we'll notice our parents' generation start to do it. People older than 60 or 70, they want to go somewhere for a good meal, and they want to pay a good price for it. They want to know the inside track on a great brisket, a great pulled pork sandwich, a great cheesesteak.
That's because
the great steak.
The legacy homegrown restaurants that survive the ages, they don't give a shit about making profit. It's not about gaining more money off of your customers. It's about producing good food and enjoying the people that come into your restaurant.
You have to make enough, but yeah, you're right. It's more about the food, more about the legacy. But what I'm focusing on is the other end, the consumer,
the value.
Well, just no, the consumer, us, like the uncle, the great aunt, the whoever. And as you get even older and older, if you go to visit your grandparents in a home or something, their first reaction is, "Oh, I'm doing fine." The other day they made, delicious. They made stuffed shells. You should have had them. They were delicious. And you're like, that's great, Grandma. And she's like, "They didn't make it with sugar. They made it just the right amount." And you're like, okay. But it breaks it down to meal by meal. That people become so entrenched in a good meal because that's all that's left towards the end, isn't it?
I semi agree with you. If you're
every day.
I mean, if you're healthy and you are hungry, I guess you look to your youth, because I really think that your metabolism drops off and you can't eat what you did in the past. I remember when I was younger and we had giant family meals, like my uncle was impressed that I could eat more or like a lot of something, because I guess it meant that I was like healthy, exercising, athletic. Like it means all those things, that your body is craving these foods and you're just growing. Like your hope is blossoming, I guess, at that point, and your puberty. And you're like becoming a man because you can eat like an immense amount. Because an older person probably can't eat that much. Like what they eat is probably more important because it has to be good in that small amount. It has to be really good for them to eat a lot.
It has to be. Their bowel movements, what they eat, and what's going on today on TV or movies or whatever, or what's happening at the home or whatever is the latest talk, is all they have. Which the fact that it happens across multiple people in old age and it's not just one time thing. It's not just one generation. I think we all end up back there.
Also, like, restaurants are so hard to run and so difficult to keep going that like a successful restaurant is kind of rare. So like even in my area, like cooking for good Italian, like either it's like really expensive good Italian or it's like cheap and doesn't taste that great. Like we finally have a restaurant that is cheap and good. It's like this is a gem. So people like to promote that gem.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And we all eat every day. So sometimes 2 or 3 times a day.
When's the last time that you went to a steakhouse?
Probably a month or 2 or 3 ago. Probably 3.
So like what cut did you get?
So I go to a place in Philadelphia often, like every 6 months to 9 months. Clayton's, I think it's called.
Okay.
It's the best meal I ever have. Usually between 4 people, we can rack up $600 plus tip, which is not the $1 that Dan usually gives people. and we get Wagyu beef, baby.
So I don't even like what cut is a Wagyu beef? Does it have to be a tenderloin?
I'm not sure.
Or is it the whole?
I think it could be a New York strip. I think it could be.
I think it's the cow is classified as Wagyu because it eats like a special like diet of greens, clover, and like
because I think
beer.
She usually gets Wagyu ribeye bone in, and I get Wagyu New York strip. I think. All I know is it tastes like butter, and it's the best meal I've ever had.
Oh, so the cut actually comes from a tenderloin area, so it's only the very tenderest part. So like a cow, if you're thinking about it, a cow's shoulders are like chuck. It's got rib. Brisket is kind of like its chest area. Its plate, which I have never eaten, is like its gut. Its flank is like moving towards its legs. And then shank and round is like kind of like the butt area. And then you have like the soft bits in the middle. You got like the back is like the sirloin a little bit. Short line's kind of like the midsection. And then you have like the tenderloin, which is like right along the spine. So like the tenderloin doesn't get a lot of like action, but it gets really fatty.
Doesn't move too much?
Yeah, it doesn't get tough because it's like surrounded by the muscle. So that portion is the portion that you get when you get the best steaks or like Wagyu steak. So I'm going to show a picture of Wagyu steak because they feed cows exactly what it takes to gain the most fat. It's like the most relaxed life for a cow.
They give it massages, I believe, daily.
Mm-hmm. They love it. They pat it.
They give it a little bit of alcohol because they want it to be all chilling. I'm drunk. I'm a drunk cow. I'm a drunk cow, folks. They feed it.
Clover. There's different bits of clover. They give it beer.
Nice. Okay, word.
I've seen like a little bit of corn, a little bit of hay. And I'm showing a picture of the Wagyu beef now, which is actually...
You're showing now?
Yeah, I'm showing you a picture of my meat right now.
Nice, skinny cow.
So the beef is actually mostly fat. It's more fat than muscle. It's kind of a crazy thing.
It's a beautiful thing, folks.
Yeah.
You got the money for it? Do it.
I think I might have to go do this.
I can't believe you haven't had one. Go to a reputable steakhouse, overpay for it. Go to town, dude.
Can you... I don't think that I've ever seen it where you can... I'm sure you can buy it, but I've never been like, I'm going to buy Wagyu beef just to try it. Which I think is a fallacy. That's a mistake. I'll have to correct that right now. I'm going to have to search if I can buy this stuff.
Please do. Listen. Hear that?
That's me buying some Wagyu.
You can cook it yourself. I cooked some... They weren't Wagyu steaks. They were like from Omaha or some company.
Omaha steaks. Texas. Yeah, I've gotten those. $130 for 12 ounces. That's a lot of money, man.
That's what you get when you raise a cow like that. So what we want to do here is kind of summarize what's going on. Did we miss anything? Should we touch on anything?
We should touch on like family cooking. So like coming together as a family, like a Thanksgiving. If you have like a matriarch, usually the matriarch does a lot of the show where they're putting everything together, they're cooking it. It's like the meals are usually pretty good. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to complain about anybody's matriarch making a Thanksgiving meal, but it's like I don't know, it's more about love than anything. It's like being bountiful and like having a good meal. That's all well and good. It's more about the welcoming aspect of like, here is all that you can eat. And I made it, and it's for you. It should be the same feeling in like the high-end restaurants. It's a family experience, I would say.
So my family owned all the Marabellas. Have you ever eaten in Marabella's restaurant?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay. There was like 6 or 7 of them down the shore. There's one, Center City, Lansdale, whatever. Anyway, we sold off all but one, and it's my father's side, the Italians. My grandmother worked there. My great uncle worked there. My great aunt worked there. I had a couple other great aunts that worked there.
Looks
my
good.
Great aunts, cousins. Oh, it's very good. But it's very. They opened up a meatball fast food type place downtown that did pretty well. But he moved to Florida. But anyway, I would go there. My grandmother would always make me personally the manicotti, which is like lasagna.
You didn't have a choice.
Well, like it was like my thing to get, and she would love making it for me, and I would love eating it. It like became a thing. So I'd have to get it, and it was very good. Whatever.
It's love right there.
I've been there since. It's. I'm trying to explain this.
So your grandmother is no longer living, right?
No. She passed. She passed like 10, 15 years ago. Probably 10. But anyway, that's weird. So like my girlfriend's family, Aunt Sue used to make the best meatballs. And she would roll them, et cetera, et cetera. She would have to do them herself. You could copy the recipe verbatim, but it wouldn't work. And what's interesting to think of is that people who make your food don't always wash their hands. They don't always. Their skin has different bacteria and fingerprints, and they're unique, right?
Different oils. You're thinking about your grandmother sweating into the bowl and like adds a little bit of flavor.
It does,
it's right? A little bit of cannibalism for you.
Think about it. It's the only thing that makes food different when you copy the recipe the exact same. It's the human being making it with their bare hands. So what happens on their bare hands is what's affecting the taste that you feel. So if you had a family member that made anything for you specifically, and it was always the best because they made it, maybe you're tasting them. I don't know. That's so weird.
So do you have anything to add on that one?
No. That's it.
So there's like an element of artistry that I've seen on like high-end shows, like I think Netflix has like a chef's table. So like the whole goal is like a chef devotes their entire life to making a certain thing, or like a restaurant that is their like flagship thing. The ones that are most impressive are like the people that take like a bit of science and then mix it with food. So like one guy, I think he took a pillow and like infused something into like a steam or like an alcohol vapor, and then he like put it into the pillow so that like when you cut into something that's on that pillow, you smell something. So it's trying to like incorporate all of your senses into the meal. And it's just like, it's kind of absurd, but also it's more entertainment and experience. So it's less about eating the food and more about living it. So there are other chefs that also like take the culture of a certain area and encapsulate it into a meal. So you're eating what like the working class of Peru would eat, which is like potatoes, and there's like thousands of different types of potatoes, and they're all colorful, and like you get an understanding of what people come from, or you get an idea that isn't even about people. Like there's another chef who would try to make we call it like a representation of nature. And like he made like something that looked like a moldy stone, like a stone that had been there a long time, but you could like cut into it and start eating it. And it's made of like local stuff too, so it's like farm to table. That's like the purest you can get. It's very bizarre in a way that surprises you in what you can eat and what you can survive on, and makes you aware of things. So that's more of like a statement piece for a chef. I will say also that like Anthony Bourdain, who passed away recently, he said his favorite restaurant, which was run by his friend, it's called the French Laundry. It's in California. And it's like, that chef, it wasn't about, I mean, he makes fantastic food, but it was more about like the personalization. Because he knew he was coming. He made, Anthony Bourdain was a smoker, so he made tobacco ice cream. And it's just like one of those things that you're like, wow, this is so personalized. It's like your manicotti. Like when you bite into it, you're like, it just makes you happy because the connection is a physical connection that you ingest and becomes part of you. It's a weird thing when someone else can actually give you a piece of yourself in their own passion.
It's a good way to put it. Good way to sum it up.
Yeah. I think that's all we got.
We discussed all the good things. Cooking food. How adding spices, making flavor, making food taste like more than nutrition kind of brought humanity together in a social way. We totally touched on that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
How cavemen started having a social aspect. How all food drives us every day. 3 meals a day. So 3 times a day What's funny is we also always reference our nationality. Oh, my family's Italian. Yeah. We always talk at dinner. And it's like, oh, weird. My family's Egyptian. We always talk at dinner. And someone else would be like, my family is Greek. We always talk at dinner.
Native Americans, they always love their pemmican, right? We talked about that one.
You figured it out.
Yeah, I did.
Either way, every culture pretends, we're big on food and drink. We all are, folks. Every goddamn culture is big on food and drink because you need it to live. Mm-hmm. A, and B, it turned it into specialization.
It also made us who we are. 1.9 million years ago, they found stones with the burnings of fire on them, and they assumed that that's when they first started cooking meat. That's what made our brains, our culture, made us preeminent predators.
Overbearing mothers. Is that what we said?
Yeah, exactly.
Italian. I'm looking at you. Yeah, I can say it. So to summarize, we talked on every dish ever made. Yep. Is that correct?
Yeah, and all the dishes we can eat and all the stuff we can't, like the offal, which is part of the intestines of the animal. We covered all of that. Blood, brain, chitlins.
The homeless, right?
Yeah.
Chitlins.
Yeah, cannibalism,
in America.
prions,
cannibalism,
kidneys, lungs.
Talked about ions, talked about the lungs, talked about all sorts of people doing all sorts of things.
Weird stuff. Mm-hmm. Sniffing sugar or salt. Drinking
salt.
Yeah, sure.
Sniffing water to make up for it.
Yeah, that's raw, eating stuff just uncooked. That's
sometimes you
probably
can cook
safe.
Uncooked.
Alcohol might be.
It was pork. They're saying that's the better one.
So. Yeah. I think that's all. That might have been all we covered.
Well, folks, if you want to talk about your favorite recipes, you want to bring up certain foods you like, the way cultures take in other cultures' foods. That's another interesting thing. You want to mention it? Go ahead. If you want us to try something, bring that up at the next meeting. Other than that, I think really that's food, food is who we are.
Literally.
Who we are is food. Literally and figuratively. And we're all going to get old, and we're going to talk about lunch and that breakfast we had
Bird's
that
eye special. The way your mama used to cook a pie.
We're going to be stuck on it every day. So thanks for listening, folks. We like you. We like you.
A lot. Good night.